There's some great Wonderkids in Football Manager that you might never actually get to use, and that's because at the start of your saves they have interest from the major clubs in world football. Pretty quickly they'll end up signing these players within the first few weeks of your save before you're even able to put a scout report on them or learn their name. But don't worry, today I'm going to give you a full team of those players that you need to act quick to sign, but if you can get your hands on them, they are unreal. Now we've got players of different ability levels and price points, the majority of which I imagine you won't have heard of, so there's something for every single save. But of course we've got to start off with the goalkeeper. And we have a Nigerian 20-year-old to start off with. Goalkeeper is one of those positions that it was actually quite hard to find a player that already had interest in, that had Wonderkid potential, but the one that I did find, probably the most boring of this list, but we have to have a goalie, is Kyodo Bankole, who plays for Remo Stars out in the Nigerian divisions. Now he's wanted by Porto. They're a team known for signing plenty of talent from Africa and giving them the chance in the Portuguese division. Now whilst this goalkeeper isn't the best in the world, he's got some decent starting attributes, and for about 1 million quid to have the potential that he does have, which is over 140, so he can be a Wonderkid, I think he's a pretty good pickup. Now there's no real standout attribute in his game, but I'm not expecting there to be. Goalkeepers take a little bit longer to develop, and that's why Wonderkid goalkeepers are often so hard to talk about, because he won't really start reaching his potential until he's a lot older. But either way, Porto are going to try and sign him straight away. It might not work out for him there, and then you might be able to sign him, but I'd suggest if you want him, go out and sign him immediately. The same applies for Nicolas Romero, a 19-year-old Argentinian who's already an important player at his club Atletico Tucumán. Now he is wanted by a bunch of Premier League sides, including West Ham, Spurs, Newcastle and Manchester United, and you could see why they would be interested in the 6'1" defender. He's a bit of a rare breed at centre-back because he is left-footed, which is obviously a little bit harder to come by than your right-footed centre-backs. He's a decent passer who's actually pretty good in the tackle and has all the other defensive attributes that you'd want from a young defender. He's got good mental attributes and well-rounded physicals too. He is maybe let down by the fact that he's only 6'1", but if you can look past that, he's a player with great first touch and he can even hit a free kick. But with a little bit of development, he can very quickly be an unbelievable ball-playing defender that you can sign for around 4 million quid. But again, you're going to have to act fast before any of these big clubs are able to come in and steal him away from you. So there's 2 players, but we've still got 9 very exciting players to go, including my favourite that we're leaving until the end. But before we get into the rest of the players, if you could show your support by smashing the like button on the video, it really would help us. At this time in the FM life cycle, views are obviously a little bit down with less people watching and playing FM as the year has gone on, but if you can hit that like button, it will give us a massive boost. So thank you to anyone who can do that, and subscribe as well if you haven't already. We're very close to 180k subs. Our next player is a cheap option, a £2 million centre-back, 19 years of age. It's Slovenian Marcel Ratnik, who's playing for Olympia out in his home nation of Slovenia. Yet to make a big move away from his division, that's the reason why he is so cheap. He's wanted here by Juventus as well as some other Italian clubs and of course Paris Saint-Germain, so he is clearly a big talent and they are seeing the potential in him. Whether they want to sign him for first team football or sign him for 2 million because they know they could sell him on for a profit, either way I don't know, but that just shows you that he is worth signing. If these big clubs are after him, there's clearly a player in there. Obviously if you are unsure about any of these players, before you sign them, scout them and you'll get a good judge of where their potential is sitting in your save. But either way, all of these guys, for the price you pay, will be worth the money. He's a really nice rounded centre-back who isn't necessarily stand out in any area, but his attributes are very evenly distributed. He could definitely work on his technique a little bit. I'm not sure I trust him with the ball playing side of the game, but he's decent in the air. He's got good marking, good positioning. I'm not expecting him to ever be world class, but there's a reason these big clubs are after him. For a couple of million, he is certainly worth the money and could certainly be a Premier League level defender at full growth. A player that I've had lots of experience with is Ismael Doucouré. He's a 19-year-old playing for Strasbourg in the French leagues. Now he's someone that was a big part of my Strasbourg rebuild, which I recently did on my channel, which by the way, if you want to see that, you can find it linked in the description. Over there, we spent 5 years with the French club, and this man was a stalwart in our defence for all 5 years, consistently getting first team football for a team that eventually was competing in the Champions League. So whilst about 10 million might seem like quite a lot for this player, he's definitely worth it. He's got interest from loads of major clubs around the world. This guy is really well rounded in all the defensive attributes and is pretty good when it comes to the ball playing aspects. His first touch might let him down, as might his dribbling, but with 12 passing and 13 technique, he's got a good base set to build up from. But with good work rate, tackling, marking and positioning, he is starting with a very good level of attributes. 14 determination too. He's not the biggest in the world, but isn't too bad when it comes to strength, his jumping reach, and has a nice bit of pace to go alongside it. If you're after a centre-back for the future, the French divisions, and Strasbourg in particular, is a place where you can find quite a few. And our final defender is the most expensive, but maybe the most elite of anyone out of the defenders we've looked at so far. This is Serdar Saci, who is a Turkish 20-year-old playing for Braga out in Portugal. They've recently signed a player a couple years ago for 1.3 million from Besiktas, and he's certainly worth more than that now, and there's plenty of clubs that are interested in him for that £13 million price point. Physically, he is absolutely brilliant. Mentally, he is let down in a few areas, but overall is pretty good when it comes to the attributes that you'd actually need, minus his concentration, which you could definitely work on. I'm surprised that he isn't wanted by bigger clubs than what we're seeing here, because he's a good ball playing defender with 13 passing, 12 vision, 14 technique and 13 first touch. Combine that with good dribbling ability, really good tackling, positioning, marking as well. He's got everything a young defender needs. As a ball playing defender on the defence duty, I don't think you could ask for many better than him. Yes, 10 million plus might be a lot, but within a few years this guy will be worth 20, 30 million and could easily be a world-class centre-back. In my experience, I've used him for plenty of clubs, and I've even seen him playing as the main man in the defence for Real Madrid. And if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about how good Serdar Saci can be, then I don't know what will. So if you want this guy, make sure you sign him quick, because it won't be long before he gets bought by one of these clubs and you're unable to get him. Next is 20-year-old Adam Karabek, wanted by Manchester United for around 4 million quid from the Czech club Sparta Prague. You can pick up a very good young left-footed attacking midfielder. His best position is supposedly shadow striker, which I could see with that 11 finishing, good dribbling and really good first touch too. He is let down in the creative attributes a little bit, with his vision only being 9, but with 13 passing and 15 technique, he certainly isn't the worst. Great flair as well, and some nice physical attributes to go alongside it. The only issue with him is his mental attributes are quite weak in some areas. Teamwork, for example, vision as we mentioned, bravery, aggression, decision making, all of which can be worked on, and all of those aren't necessarily majorly important for the role that you'd want him to play, but when you see so many at that level, it does worry you a little bit. But I can tell you, he can be a top player, and this is probably one of the worst versions of him that I've seen. In some saves, of course, his potential is going to be different to what I have here. He might be way better for you. In turn, that might mean that his price would change, so bear in mind some of these players, their prices may fluctuate, but overall, you should see them all at a very similar level, and Manchester United clearly see the value in a £5 million Czech 20-year-old. Up next, we have a player from the second tier of France. This is Valenciennes FC's young 20-year-old Ilyes Hamash. Now, if any player in your game, particularly a Wonderkid, is wanted by PSG, there's a good chance they're a pretty big talent. In this case, I don't necessarily think PSG are trying to buy him for the first team, more someone to sell on for a profit in the future, but for about 2 or 3 million, you could see why they would be interested in this young star. Now, on the left, I don't necessarily think he's ever going to be world class with the attributes that he's got, age 20, but he can definitely be one of the better players in that position in world football at full growth. And in my own experience with the videos I do here on FMSCOUT and also the rebuilds on my channel, I've seen him play at a pretty high level on a very consistent basis once he gets that move from Valenciennes. If he goes to PSG, his growth will likely stunt a little bit, but if you can get your hands on him for maybe a second tier side or maybe a team outside of the top 5 European leagues, I think you'll have some great results with this guy and sell him on for a huge profit in the future. He's maybe not the best in any particular area. Yes, he can score at a decent level with 11 finishing, he can create with 12 passing and 12 vision, he's got a nice cross on him, but he's not really amazing in any of those areas, nor do you expect him to be age 20, but with a few years of growth, you'll definitely see a much better player than what we're looking at here. Just hope in your save he's got better than 3 determination. And speaking of players in the second tier of their nation, up next is Norwich's 20-year-old Englishman, Jonathan Rowe, who's got electric pace, electric acceleration, great finishing, creative ability, crossing, determination, flair, and first touch as well. Able to play both sides naturally, good with both feet. You could see why Premier League clubs are interested in him, because after the winter update in FM, he got a huge boost in his potential and his current ability, and he's certainly worth that £10 million price. Being an English player, he will class as homegrown as well if you are playing in an English nation. Yes, there's There's some areas of his game that he is weak in, but he is so good at everything you'd want from, say, an inside forward on the attack duty. If we look at that, 14 composure, 13 anticipation, flair off the ball, passing technique, can work on that vision for sure. But right now, age 20, he is a great talent, able to play Premier League football, and at full growth could easily be a top 6 level winger. 3 players left to go now, and the next one will be my favourite player in this list, but on the wing we have Brian Aguirre. He's a 20-year-old Argentinian playing for Newell's Old Boys out in the Argentinian divisions, and he's wanted here by Man U, Newcastle and Spurs. A lot of you guys might have seen him, but he might have already made a move when you have seen him in your save. I know there are some great talents in the Argentinian divisions, and often Aguirre gets overlooked, but on the left-hand side, with that right foot cutting in and either being an inverted winger or an inside forward, I think he's fantastic. 17 dribbling, 15 flair, good finishing, crossing, corners, first touch, passing abilities there too, good teamwork, nice physical stats to back it up as well, good determination too. His leadership's at 3, but we can really forget about that because age 20, he's a phenomenal talent and you'd expect him to cost 10, 15, 20 million. He's only going to cost you 2 or 3, which is the reason why a lot of these English sides want to get their hands on him. A great player with huge resale value, but if you can sweep in there before these guys do, you can get your hands on a fantastic left winger. My favourite player though, it's hard to believe Oscar Pereira is only 17 years of age when you see how good he is. He's as good as most of the players in this list, but he's way younger than all of them pretty much. The Atletico Nacional player is still in the Colombian division, and for that reason you can get him for only 1 mil. Now he is wanted here by some major Premier League sides, and you can see why. This guy has been great last year in FM, he's great this year too. I think he is a phenomenal player. As an inside forward on that right hand side, he is deadly, or inverted winger, whatever you want to go for, but being right footed, naturally playing on the left, I think you do want him cutting in. Great physical attributes, can beat a man well, and again, age 17, he's already looking as good as the others. By the time he's 20 years of age, he will be far above most of the players in this list. I think he's fantastic and a real bargain at 1 million. But the final player in our list is Armindo Sieb, wanted by Bayern Munich, but he's currently playing for Greuther Fürth in the 2nd division of Germany, and I've definitely butchered the pronunciation of that team. Either way though, this is a very good striker for this year's in-game engine. I believe he was formerly of Bayern Munich. Yes, he was. They let him go. They must have some kind of buyback clause on him, but you could see why they would be interested because he's developed well now. He's got 11 finishing, 13 dribbling, 12 first touch. He's also got some great pace, which will really help him. He's not really going to win many aerial battles. He's not going to outstrength anyone, but as an advanced forward for a few million, if you could get him for, say, a championship side, you would easily watch him become an elite level Premier League forward. He just needs time to grow. If you can get your hands on him before Bayern Munich do, I think you'll have a great striker on your hands here. A Wonderkid of the past really, because he was great in previous years. Then he's had a bit of a decline now, making his way into the 2nd tier, but he's clearly still a good player with plenty of talent, so get your hands on him if you can, but be quick before Bayern get there. But there you go, there's 11 Wonderkids that you need to sign ASAP if you want them in FM before the big clubs snatch them away. If you have enjoyed, smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you and goodbye.